Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And I do like to finish the day on something light and amusing. And we have something very amusing here. And it's embarrassed Angus Robertson, for it was a debate that they wanted to talk about their new shiny brochure, this time on defence. And it was hijacked. It was pulled apart and ridiculed, and there was a whole litany of failures that were sort of emitted in the chamber, and there's no going back. The genie has been let out of the bag, and Willie Rennie has had his day, and we like to think that every dog has his day, and today was definitely Willie Rennie's. So well done to him. We'll take a look at this, and it is just a wonderful way of rounding off the Wednesday. It's we've broken the back of the week, and it's a lovely way of just rounding it off. And just enjoy this. Here goes. So as I say, it is the last of the long forms of the day, so it's my last opportunity to say, do please hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow, and it means that you can keep up with stories like this, because this is just a cracker. Angus Robertson left red-faced as the SNP Skexit debate is hijacked by opponents who then list nationalist failures on the world stage. Internationalist failures, one could say. The Scottish Government attempted to debate its latest independence paper on defence policy in Scotland. The policy is that they haven't got a policy. They've got no defence. They haven't got an army, haven't got an air force, barely got a regiment. They don't have any kind of materiel that's needed to defend Scotland. And who do they think is going to invade them anyway? Are they going to be an expeditionary force that go out and fight the Russians? What are they going to do 7 minutes later when they haven't got an expeditionary force left? It's a joke, isn't it? Anyway, they were left with egg on their face after a litany of mistakes on the world stage were listed, including Humza Yousaf's controversial trip to Qatar, where he met with leaders of Hamas, allegedly. But it wouldn't surprise anyone if he did. SNP ministers were left red-faced after another deja vu Skexit debate was hijacked by opponents who pointed to a series of nationalist failures on the international stage. And trust me, there's a bunch of them. These included Humza Yousaf cozying up to Turkish President Erdogan and Nicola Sturgeon's Chinese mishaps. Funny how they keep aligning themselves with people who have terrible human rights records. Erdogan likes to slaughter the Kurds, and the Chinese round up all their Muslims and put them into concentration camps. And yet the SNP wants to bend the knee, kiss the ring, and cosy on up to them as though they're the bestie chums. Even fellow independent supporter Ash Regan was also critical of the newly published plans for Scotland's place in the world. Where's Scotland's place in the world? Oh, there it is, just above England. That's its place in the world. Incidentally, just a tangent, but it's a funny thing. I got criticised over my Gaza stance and that. And someone said, oh, you're just a Zionist. And I thought, oh, the irony of a Scottish national calling anyone a Zionist. Zionism is the demand and desire for a home, for a national home, a motherland, if you will. And there's this Scottish nationalist wanting exactly that and insulting other people who want the same. We know they're not bright, but bless them. Anyway, she even pointed out, this is going back to Ash Regan again, sorry, tangent, back from it, and talking about Ash Regan, she even pointed out that Celebrity Big Brother's launch got more mention in the papers than this new shiny brochure. That's because more people care about Big Brother than care about Scottish independence. Nobody cares. Literally, there's a few loons and buffoons, but no one with half an ounce of common sense gives a rat's. The 11th perspective became public on Monday and outlined plans for defence in an independent Scotland. I've covered this before. I did the thing about spies. Craig covered it. Preston covered it. I think everyone who cares has covered it, but only to ridicule and mock it. No one was looking at it or taking it in any way serious, It confirmed proposals to get rid of Trident, with Angus Robertson claiming that this would not make the country vulnerable to Putin. And he talked about building a new army and air force. Now, I've mentioned this as well. Who You've only got 5.5 million people. A fifth of them are pensioners and a fifth of them are at school. It leaves you about 3 million people. They've all got jobs. How many people are you... How big is your army? Who's going to administer it? I bet your Air Force. Who's building the planes? All this. Who's maintaining it? Everyone's got a job. You want to put all these people in all these things. Everyone in Scotland is going to end up working for the state, and no one's actually going to be producing the wealth to pay for it. They're lunacy ideas, aren't they? Anyway, he talked about this new Army and Air Force allowing voluntary defections from the British Army. Well, you might allow it, but the British Army might say, hang on, that is absence without leave, and that because you do not swear your oath of allegiance when you join the army. You don't swear your oath of allegiance to Scotland. You swear it to the king and his crowns and ministers. When you sign that contract is with the British Army, not the Scottish Army. You don't get up and leave. You can say you allow it. I think the military in England will say something else. You'll find there'll be court-martials and jail. So good luck. Anyway, Scottish Lib Dem MSP Willie Rennie took the opportunity to list 17 times that the SNP embarrassed themselves on the world stage. Only 17, or did he just pick the latest 17? Anyway, he claimed that Skexit Minister Jamie Heburn's newest strategy to achieve his dream was to bore us into submission, he said, by publishing paper after paper after paper, relentlessly produced week in, week out, in boring, soporific detail. I love Willie Rennie. He doesn't hold back. Anyway, some of the examples he produced included Mr Yousaf inviting Erdogan to Scotland, despite the human rights abuses reported in Turkey, and his trip to Qatar as International Development Minister in 2013, where he failed to raise the case of imprisoned poet Mohammed Al-Jami, despite visiting a poetry festival in the region. Well, no, he's not going to do that. He's too scared. Also, he doesn't want to upset them because he might want to come back one day and he doesn't want to be beheaded. I'd pay money for that. Anyway, the full list of SNP International failures have gone. So we're not going to go into all the detail in them, but there are a few here that are cracking. Nicola Sturgeon personally signed a deal with China Railway No. 3 Engineering Group. No due diligence was done. They've been blacklisted by so many other countries. Chinese company Sinofortune were also signatories of the same £10 billion deal, later described as all bollocks by the chief fixer, after it was revealed they only owned a pub in the Cotswolds. So they signed this £10 billion deal with a company that owns a pub. Honestly, you couldn't make these up. Scots Lib Dem research in 2022 uncovered at least 49 public bodies in Scotland that were still unaware of the Scottish Government's human rights tests introduced following those deals. So all these government departments are still doing these things, but they're not applying these laws, not applying these laws. It continues to use Chinese surveillance cameras, despite Britain saying don't. And in fact, they're actually banned, according to the security forces in Britain. But if the Scots are still doing it, that's up to them. But they know that everything is being fed straight back to China. Indeed, the latest Hoover has got a thing where it's electric and you can do the charging on your phone. Boom, 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 boom. And it's an app, but the app is Chinese. And so the Hoover, why does it need to be online? You have an online Hoover that sits there. It could be listening to everything and sending it all back to China. Now, if that Hoover's being used in an office and people are talking and just left upright in the corner, well, I'm just going to nip and do this, dearie, leaves Hoover there. You carry on talking state secrets. The Hoover is sending it straight to China. These people are mental, aren't they? On a trip to China, Alex Salmond got an official to buy him a pair of £250 tartan trews because he'd left his own at home, and then try to cover it up on the taxpayer to pay it. Alex Salmond said he had a certain admiration for Putin. Salmond hosted a long-running show on Kremlin propaganda channel Russia Today. Salmond agreed to front a new television on the Turkish channel TRT, described as the propaganda arm of the Turkish regime. They love these regimes. They love monolithic, communist and monolithic totalitarian states, don't they? Because that's what they see themselves as. The current First Minister courted President Erdogan. We've covered that. And we've covered the Qatar thing. We didn't raise the poet. Fergus Ewing held an unrecorded dinner with Australian banker Lex Greensill, who was disgraced, and amid the financial deals that have exposed taxpayers to hundreds of millions of pounds. Well done, Fergus. They've dodged questions about government-owned Preston Airport was used for US rendition flights. They're moaning. They're moaning about, oh, this and that, and oh, yeah, Ukraine this, and Gaza that. They are the ones flying CIA people, flying prisoners out to CIA internment camps where they are undoubtedly questioned very vigorously until they are reassuring people in an interview without coffee that the things that they think they don't know, they do know. Things like that. Can't say the word, but you know exactly what I mean. It wants to abandon nuclear weapons, but join NATO. Not possible. It's breaching international standards on the age of criminal responsibility. And Scottish Greens passed a motion at their conference calling for Hamas to be taken off the international terror list. Which it won't be. But that's because they are so up the arse of international terrorists. Or, put it the other way around, they'd love those terrorists to be up theirs. Especially Patrick. But of course what will happen is Hamas get hold of the likes of Patrick, they'll throw him off a building. Not so bad after all, perhaps. And then they have pledges to create a peace institute before cancelling the whole project because they'd run out of money. This is not unbelievable though, is it? This is just them through and through, time and time again. And I just think, well done for Willie Rennick highlighting it. But they want to be the big boys on the block. They want to go, oh, look at us. We're an international country. We travel the world. We do all these things, and we screw up royally every time. Thanks. It's worth it just for the views. I'm sure you enjoy watching these. If you do, please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, and I'm going to come up and finish. So there you go. Going out in style. Last one of the day. What a cracker. I will laugh at the SNP because they are filled with morons, with idiots, with people who don't understand what things look like. You're looking at absolute buffoonery incarnate, and I love it for it. They do get me a lot of views. You've got to be honest. Things like this are just... everyone wants to see it. Everyone wants to see how stupid these people are. I've got friends in America. They literally cannot believe. They watch my videos, and they think I'm taking the piss. They think what I'm doing is a joke. They think it's a comedy series. I'm talking about some fictional government that does this stuff. I have to tell them, no, it's all far too real. They're astonished. And they're American. And you know how bad their politics are. They're stunned. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Like I say, do hit the sub button. Let me get up there. We're getting up. Let's get to 12,000 as quick as we can. See if we can get to 12,000 by the end of the month. That would be cracking. That's my birthday, you see. And that'd be a nice little birthday present. Till next time. It'll be tomorrow now on the long forms. But it might be a few flashes later. Stay well. Keep well. We'll speak to you later and have a great evening. Bye.